Hey, nerds! It's Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Geeks of Cascadia. Exclusive tabletop game podcast for the Pacific Northwest. All levels of gamers. Analog gaming. Tabletop news. Dungeons and Dragons and magic. Stupid, mindless bad.
There will definitely be some bet. That's probably our best.
That's
our best.
Hey geeks, Blue Samurai here, and I'm with...
I'm still Paul.
And you are listening to Geeks of Cascadia, episode 65.
65, that's amazing.
65, yes.
It's amazing.
Paul, cheers to episode 65.
Cheers to 65,
That's right.
Yes. Oh yeah, you touched my bottle. That can't be good.
Gotta make sure.
Let's keep space.
That's right. We got you see we've got our social distancing space
yes, we're
here.
practicing social distancing.
Typically we would record out around the table, but
or some other place
that
welcomes people.
That's right, but those have all been shut down.
I don't know what's going on. What's going on with that?
I don't know.
I haven't been watching the news or anything.
We should do that. We should,
I'll turn the news on.
We've been tracking like tabletop game news and con news.
There's so much con news.
But before we get to that, just to let everyone know, on this episode, we're going to be interviewing Lin Hardy.
Lynne Hardy, we talked to her at Orcacon 2020.
We did, yes.
Fantastic. She is one of our favorites.
She always likes to come to our show.
Favorite.
Yes, she is. And she's all hunkered down, too.
I imagine she is.
Man, everybody is.
Yeah.
And Rebecculus is not here because she wasn't feeling very well, and we don't want to catch anything.
It's like regular not feeling well, not the terrible not feeling well.
Right.
I don't know what's going on with the not feeling well.
Well, you know what? You got to be cautious about these things.
You should be careful.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Rebecca and I both work at grocery stores, so we're exhausted.
Thank you, by the way.
Everyone.
You guys are doing good work.
Well, we try. I have technically been on vacation for the last 4 days.
I also appreciate the fact that you've been setting aside toilet paper just for me. So thank you.
If you decide to use the bathroom, it's one sheet only. I don't care what you're up to in there.
And you always give me the one ply.
Yeah, that's right.
What's up with that?
We always bring out the one ply when you come over, just in
works.
case you're hoarding.
So let's go into con news. What do we got for con news? Yeah,
that convention we were talking about earlier, it's canceled.
all those conventions are canceled.
Yes.
There's your con
postponed.
news.
So what? Emerald City Comic Con is going to be in August.
Yeah, it's going to be in
I
August.
actually have those days off now, so
That works out.
I was wondering at the end of May if it's still available. If you want to go to Tank Fest Northwest at Flying Heritage Museum.
Is that really a tabletop gaming con?
No, but it's a convention in the Northwest.
I know
It's
you
not
like
close.
it.
It's not close
So,
yet.
yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Tank Fest.
You should go.
Do you don't want to go?
I'll go with you. I'm an army guy. Sure.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it's like I think you get a discount and stuff.
Oh.
I'll look into it.
Okay.
But they like the service
Do
members.
that. We'll do that.
That's like February. Not February. May 23rd. So that's not canceled yet because that's still a couple months away.
Yeah.
Flying Heritage and Combat Armor Museum, and they drive tanks around and they shoot stuff. Oh, they shoot blanks.
Yeah.
In the air.
Right.
And they've got half tracks.
Because it's very dangerous when you fire the real thing.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. They've got like a BMW R75. They've got a white M3A1 half-track personnel carrier. They've got an M5A1 Stuart light tank, and many, many others.
Well, sounds cool.
That's con news.
If it's still going on. Well, yeah, there's not much for cons.
There's not much for con news.
It's pretty short. We had to scour the internets for what con was actually open, which apparently is
which
none.
is nothing, yeah.
But we do have tabletop game news.
We do,
What do you got, Paul?
Me, from what we're going to call Kickstarter Corner, because I feel like calling it that.
Sure.
I was looking at this great game called Listicle.
I'm sorry, what?
Listicle.
Okay.
It's a game based on cards, and on the cards there is a category, and then a couple examples from that category. Like the one that they have is like pasta, and then they list 2 pasta shapes.
Oh,
you can play it a couple of different ways. You can say everyone bids how many, for example, shapes of pasta they can come up with, like 8 or 3 or 5, and you can play this with as many people as you can gather together. But 3 or more is better. Or you can say like linguine and fettuccine, and then have people guess whatever the category is.
Okay.
And so it's playable, and it's like a party game. You don't have to sit around a table or anything. It's like to be doing whatever. But it looks really fun. I like listing things. I like categorizing things. I'm going to burp now. But I think it sounds good. It's on Kickstarter. They've got 28 days to go as of today, which is, I'm looking at my D&D calendar. Today's the 20th?
Yes, it is.
It's 20th.
It's the 20th.
Of March. So they've got until about April 19th or 20th to go. I was also looking at, oh my God, this is so beautiful, Tallest from Monty Cook's games.
Oh, yeah. I see it right now.
Yeah. City by the Spire. It is an adventure. There's a city based over a giant dungeon, which sounds kind of familiar. Monty Cook. But it still sounds fun.
Yeah.
And you can play it either with 5th edition or with the Cipher system, which is cool. And it is beautiful. Just watching the video and looking at the art they have for it, it looks fantastic. It looks totally fun. It is expensive. It's like $150 for the actual paper version.
Wow. But Monty Cook Games, they have some high quality stuff.
But I'm going to be saving that money for toilet paper.
Oh yeah, toilet paper's
because
important.
I'm going to be buying it in the street, sheet by sheet.
Yes. And they looks like it's just going. Oh, they're way past their goal.
Yeah,
oh, they're good. They're always good.
Yeah, they're like $700,000 or something.
And
like
it's only 2 hours to go, so
only 2 hours to go.
That's what it says
here.
here.
If you want it, that's
so
too
never
bad.
mind.
Never mind. Forget about Monty Cook's.
I'm sure if you went online there afterwards, they'll
I'm sure someone will sell it to you for $250 or $300.
Right.
Maybe a game store is going to take it, make it easy on you.
Yeah.
Also, I found a really cool game called Mind Management. That's MINDMGMT.
Okay.
Yeah, on Kickstarter, where there's one person who is like the mind manager, where they're trying to take over the planet by controlling people's minds. And everyone else is trying to resist that.
Okay.
And the game's different every time because you open these little packs of cards that change the way the game works, apparently. But it looks totally fun. The artwork is a little, I don't know, edgy. But the gameplay sounds great. So I don't really care about the artwork. I care about the gameplay.
Cool.
And that's all I really have for...
Okay. I just got a few things. I mean, it's really weird because our tabletop game news seems to be somewhat limited.
That's because Rebecca's not here with her ace, constant, diligent research
true.
that she does.
She usually does all
for
that.
5 minutes before we podcast
Yes.
every time.
Yeah, she usually gets all that, and I don't. I'm kind of behind. But some news: Renegade Game Studios taking pre-orders for Raiders of Scadia. So check that out. Renegade Game Studios. I guess I got a sale going on now. So
Sure.
check that out. It's a good time to play. I mean, all you guys time with your family,
Right. Or alone.
or alone.
We're going to talk about that later.
Cryptozoic holding Stay Home Play Game Sale. They're selling some games there. Just kind of looking on the internets here. Stellar now available from Renegade Game Studios, so check that out.
Cool.
We've got Fantasy Flight announces a new expansion for Arkham Horror. So those of you that like Arkham Horror, check that out.
Yeah.
We've got Portal Games announces Imperial Settlers Storage Box. And one thing I'd like to kind of talk about, and it's coming soon to D&D. You've already got the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. Those of you that order it, you can go to your game store and get that now. But the next one that's coming out sometime in June is Mythic Odysseys of Theros.
Oh, yes. That looks great.
That does look great.
I'm already committed to the Strahd thing, and then I got burned.
You can always change. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. In fact, I'm willing to do it. I mean, it looks really cool.
You want to play everything that comes out all at once.
I do.
And that's just not going to work.
Well, it's and what I like about this, it's merging the Magic universe with the D&D universe, much like they did with Ravnica.
Yeah.
So that's coming out in June. I've already pre-ordered it on my on D&D Beyond, but if you want to get the box with the not the box, but the alternate cover art, go to your local game store.
That's right.
In fact, you should. I typically will get my my campaigns and my books, source books on D&D and Beyond, and I usually get a hardcover. So
That's awesome.
yes, I got to have that.
It's kind of
tactile
nice sitting
experience.
on the couch looking at a book.
Yeah.
Instead of flipping through, searching things on your iPad or your laptop or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I prefer to look at a book. Maybe put a bookmark in there.
Well, and since the world is collapsing as we know, we
yeah.
may not need it. We may not have the internet.
D&D Beyond might all get the thing, and who knows? What is
right.
that thing called again?
I don't know.
Cheers. Oh, we touched again. No.
All right. So, Paul, since we're all kind of indoors and really can't do much,
Yeah.
we can't go to a restaurant.
We're all like
can't go to a bar.
We're like alone or with our spouse or loved
right.
one.
And all the schools have closed.
Uh-huh.
I've got 3 boys. They're in my house.
Yeah. Ugh.
A great opportunity
be
to play
terrible.
play games. I mean, obviously, social distancing in your own home is a little difficult, if not impossible.
Yeah.
Strangers, you do that, but I think at home you could do a lot of cool games.
Good.
right?
Because it's like for me, it's me and my wife, and so
Mm-hmm.
there's just 2 of us. We want to play a game that needs to be a 2-player game, or there's 1-player things too.
Right.
Which we're going to talk about after the interview. We're going to talk about the Call of Cthulhu starter set, which starts as a 1-player thing and then grows.
I like that.
But there's also other games you can play, such as maybe
Oh,
Pandemic. Pandemic is a 2 or more player game. It's a co-op game. Okay, so you haven't played it. That sounds fantastic. Also, from our friend Alex Jarabic,
ooh!
I just got this.
How come you didn't tell me about
via
this?
Kickstarter. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, okay.
This is Far Away. It's
Alex, we got the game.
That's right. From Cherry Picked Games. Go to cherrypickgames.com, I think. It'll be on the thing.
Right here.
No, it's not going to be there. It's
Oh,
going to be
okay.
down below here.
Okay.
But yeah, this game is great. It's really heavy. There's lots of pieces, and they can hook you up with it. It looks fantastic. It's like a space exploration game. It's a co-op game for 2 players or more. 13 and up. It's a 90 to 150 minutes, but
Wow.
it's heavy.
Don't be angry. Well, that's great. Hey, congratulations, Alex. That's great.
right.
That you're ready to get that out the door.
Also, there's a Dungeon Mayhem, which is 2 to 6 players.
I love that game. It's great for a family.
It is.
I find it optimal if you have at least 3 or more. But
I
though
think
you
you
can do
need
it,
3 or more.
Yeah, you can do 2, but you're right. 3 or more is way.
If we do just 2, Janice just kills me. Janice is way better at that game than I am because she just goes for the throat.
Well, I mean, maybe that's the lack of skill on your part.
Or it might be my lack of skill,
Could
but
be.
I think it's more her aggression.
Could be. And they've got the new expansion set that came out with the
Exactly,
monsters. So
with the cool monsters.
Yes, in fact, I did purchase one at my local game store yesterday.
Did you? Oh, it took you that long to do it?
It did. I was
Wow.
busy
Oh yeah.
with stuff.
Oh yeah. That's stuff you have to do.
That's right.
I don't. Why is your stuff so important? More important than games?
I don't know.
Yeah. Stuff you got to
That's
do.
right. Stuff I
see.
gotta do.
Yeah. Okay.
So what else you got here? You got anything else? You got-
Well, we're going to talk about this.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to make a mess of this.
So it's Call of Cthulhu, and
Call of Cthulhu starter set.
so those of you listening, Paul's actually holding this up. So.
And we're going to talk about this in detail after the interview.
Right. So let's talk to our good friend Lin Hardy.
Lin Hardy, who worked on, would you believe, the Call of Cthulhu starter set.
All right.
All right, let's do that.
Hey,
All
geeks! Guess what? We have another special guest.
favorite
Actually,
special
our reoccurring special guest. We're still here at Orcacon. Actually, Orcacon is about ready to end in about 3 minutes, and it wouldn't be Orcacon unless we had Lin Hardy with us. How's it going,
right.
Lin?
Hello. Well, thank you for saying the right things about being your favourite guest. You're my favourite podcasters.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
You're on a podcast, so
Well, I know. I'm old. I always get the technology right.
Now, Lin, we followed your career for the last 5 years. I think you've been with us,
Every
5
single
years.
one, yeah.
Every
Every
single one, yeah. And you have been with Chaosium, and you're still with Chaosium.
Uh-huh.
And so, what is going on there? What's the latest?
Well, in June last year, I went pretty much full-time for Chaosium as the associate editor for Call of Cthulhu.
Excellent.
Which is fantastic. I'm thoroughly enjoying that. Steep learning curve, because now I have to worry about paperwork and contracts and art briefs and cartography briefs and things. You know, all the stuff I didn't have to worry about before. So thankfully Mike Mason is an excellent teacher and has been very patient with me as I get to grips with all the complicated bits and bobs. But that's been a real challenge, and it's been great. And I like a challenge. I need to be kept out of mischief, as you very well know.
Yes.
And of course, the really cool thing that we announced in December is it's a project that I've been wanting to get off the ground for a long time. Is we've got the Rivers of London RPG license.
Awesome.
Okay, interesting.
Sounds good.
You got to expand a little bit on that one, I think. You've intrigued me. So.
Well, Rivers of London is Ben Aranovic's urban fantasy series, so it's kind of police procedural with added magic. And the name of the first book, it was the Soho Riots, I believe, over here. The name of the first book got changed. But the series is Rivers of London, and it's all based around Genii Locorum, so spirits of place, the fact that magic is coming back into the world. There are wizards out there in the world.
Wow, cool.
Not quite so many as there were, but an increasing number. And how sort of like police procedurals interact with that and how that causes interesting things. And then the whole world is developing, and each novel kind of brings in a few different interesting areas or subject matters, and it's now branching out. So there are now books based in Germany as well. There's various stuff in America that is going to get developed too, so that world is ever expanding.
Very cool. That sounds fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's something I've wanted to get going for a long time. And thankfully, Ben is an old gamer and was really excited, and is really excited about us doing this.
Very cool.
That is really cool, yeah. Spreading horror wherever you go. That's great.
I may want you to rephrase that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
Well, after talking to you, I want more role-playing. So I was inspired to get the Cthulhu starter kit. And in my free time this weekend, I've been kind of reading through the beginning of it, but I'm just at where the adventure for one person starts. I really like how it's set up. It's really neat. It's like how you run an adventure for yourself, and then you read the rules.
Yeah.
And then you run an adventure for a couple of friends. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Well, this is Mike's baby.
Yeah.
Mike has wanted to do this for a long, long time, and thankfully we got the chance to do this. Yeah. And we were kind of working on the premise that the person that buys the starter set is going to be the person who ends up being the keeper for the game.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. Let's introduce it nice and slowly, so that you get your skills, you get your confidence, so that by the time you get to running it for other people, you've got a really good idea how the system works. It's been introduced slowly and steadily. And then these 3 scenarios in the final booklet sort of increase the number of players that you're running for, while decreasing the amount of support and advice in the way that they're presented. So obviously Paper Chase is the first one, which is a fantastic scenario. It's a really nice little scenario that also highlights how you can deal with issues in a different way. You don't have to default to the standard shoot it, hit it mode. But that's for, as you say, one keeper and 1, maybe 2 players. The next scenario is Edge of Darkness, I think, because I always blank on the second one for some bizarre reason. I have no idea why. So I apologise to it if I've just got its name wrong again. That's for 2 to 4 players, a little bit more complicated, a little bit less advice on when you need to make rolls, how you can interpret them. And then by the time you get to Dead Man Stomp at the end, not an awful lot of advice in there for you. Up to 5. Well, you can do it with 6, but we say 5 because there's 5 pre-gens in the box for you to just plug in and run with. And hopefully by that point you'll have got that confidence that you'll be happy to then go on with Doors to Darkness, which is the book that has the introductory scenarios in. And you'll be happy, confident, and going out there terrorizing your players.
Great. I'm also hoping because of the theme, because my wife has no interest in Dungeons and Dragons, but she might like this theme.
Yes.
That's kind of the kind of thing that's more appealing to her and more interesting. So maybe I can get my wife playing a little bit of games. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully, yes. Yeah. And I mean, we the Alone Against the Flames is a great scenario. That starts to introduce you to the rules as well. So it's not just a choose your own adventure, it's a sneaky way of starting to get the rules in there for you. And it's great fun. And of course, because it's a choose your own, it's calling back to gaming's history. But it also means you've got a huge amount of replayability because you can choose different options, try different things each time, get a little bit more confidence, learn different things about the rules as well. And what we're trying to do with the books that we're producing now as well is to make sure that they're compatible with both the starter set and the core rules.
Great.
So that you don't necessarily have to have the core rules to buy the newer books.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
The couple of little bits that are missing we're kind of trying to include in the introduction chapter so that if you've got the starter set, you can still make full use of those books too.
Okay, cool.
I know Paul wanted to run myself and Rebecca through it.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that.
And we can chat about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to hear how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, Paul,
I'm going to drive you insane.
well, that's all. You have to go insane, right? It's a Cthulhu-based type. Yeah.
Well, it's not a requirement.
Yeah, but it's not
usually
fun. But it's not fun unless someone goes insane.
This
you
is
know?
very true.
Depends on how you go insane.
That's true. Yes. Well, what's great about it is you can apply it to any type of setting. So,
Yeah.
in that way, and that's probably why it does appeal to maybe a certain group of folks that, I don't want to get into D&D or Pathfinder, because Cthulhu, you can place it, here in this time frame. You can place it wherever.
Yeah.
I saw one. You might have seen it. It was in the RPG library, but it was Cthulhu-based, kind of a horror.
I wish I could help you, but that's
1930s or something like that.
Pulp Cthulhu is 1930s nominally.
Oh, okay.
Classic is 20s. We have Cthulhu by Gaslight, which that's one of my projects for this year, hopefully, if I can get onto it, is the Victorian setting. And I mean, the joy is that because it is historically based, you can move it to your favourite historical period and just have a blast with it.
Yeah. That's clever.
Did you get to do any of that this Orcacon at all? Did you get to... Or did you play other games here?
I actually got to play Blue Rose on Saturday night, which was wonderful. I got to play something this time. I ran a Cthulhu game on Friday, and I ran Cogs and Cakes yesterday morning.
Cool.
So, always nice to come and run for people here.
All the RPGs were pretty much full.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Year.
Yeah.
That was really cool and really encouraging that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Because every night we read through all of what's going on tomorrow, and I keep getting RPGs. Oh, this is all full. I'm sorry, you can't go to this. Check in, maybe you can sneak in. But that was great. Because usually, it's like since we do this at both Dragonflight and Orcacon, I'm very familiar with how things usually go. It's not usually that full. So that's great.
we've got some really good gamers here.
Yeah.
Some very generous gamers, gamers who are willing to try different things.
Yeah.
And that's always lovely to see.
Oh yeah.
Well, in terms of Chaosium coming out with their latest thing, what do you got in research and development that you can talk about and not
that
get in
I can
trouble?
talk about. Well, Cthulhu by Gaslight is on my slate for later this year.
Okay.
We have Mansions of Madness, Volume 1. So I know I've talked about before how we don't just want to be the greatest hits company.
Right.
We don't just want to keep updating old stuff.
Yeah.
But Mansions of Madness, for those people who've played Cthulhu for a while, that was a book of scenarios based around houses from years ago. So what we're doing is we're updating those to 7th edition. So this volume will have 2 classic scenarios from the original book, but 3 new ones.
Okay.
So that we're changing it up a little bit, including new material, giving new players access to the classics, but not just relying on that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Now, this podcast is about game design a lot of times, and we bring a designer like yourself. We like to go into the sausage making of it. So, when someone says, "Hey, we're going to do this new line, we're going to do this new idea," how's that start? Do you guys end up in a room with a bunch of whiteboards, or does someone make the outline pitch first and then everyone piles on? How's it work at Chaosium?
Well, the way we're doing it with Rivers of London is it's going to be BRP based, because BRP, basic role playing, is the company's fallback system. But because it's an urban fantasy game, obviously it needs to have bespoke elements to make sure that that system is supporting the types of stories you want to tell with it. And that's always critical with the system, is that it supports those stories.
Yeah.
It might be the best system in the world, but if it's not allowing you to tell the stories you want to tell, then it's not doing its job properly. So we've been having discussions actually since the announcement. Paul Fricker is going to be our lead designer. He's one of the co-authors of Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Very, very experienced, really knows what he's doing. He's a smashing guy to work with, very, very knowledgeable. So we've been having those discussions. We've been looking at the level of complexity we want to have with it. We're hoping to use this to attract people in who wouldn't necessarily be gamers through the license, because we know it has a very wide fan base. Not the fan base Ben thought it would have.
It's funny how that works. We've had a couple people tell us that over the weekend. We thought we would get these people, but we got these people, or these people plus these people.
Right.
Yes, mums and wives and girlfriends, apparently. He thought he was writing it for sort of like people like him, and mums, wives and girlfriends have pretty much been stealing the books and not giving them back. So yeah, we're kind of hoping that will help bring new people in, as well as be a lot of fun for people who know what gaming is. So obviously we're going to start pitching it at a more introductory level, using the model of the starter set, because we know that's gone down really well with people and people have enjoyed it, and it's doing what we want it to do. But looking at what elements we can bring in that will actually support the story and build into BRP, so that hopefully by the time we finish playtesting later this year, we will have a really solid system that's going to allow people to explore that world and create their own stories in it and have a huge amount of fun with it.
Very cool.
And how long does it take to develop this? And I mean, I'm sure, does the boss go, hey, you have exactly 6 months to get this done? And
Well, technically I'm the boss.
well, you're the boss.
Which is terrifying.
So what do you? So what do you do? Do you set yourself? Hey, I'm gonna do. It's gonna take me a year. Or
Well, obviously, I am liaising very closely with Paul, who has way more experience in this than I do. And we're hoping to get some solid playtesting in somewhere between 3 and 6 months' time. Obviously, we have ideas about what we'd like to do with it. Now, that sounds good on paper, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work in practice.
right.
So then we're going to go to playtesting, and we've got British groups, we've got American groups lined up, people we know and trust who will be honest with us about what's
that's
working.
one of the hard things.
Paul's
It
pretty
is.
honest.
Yeah.
Paul's pretty honest. By the way,
It's hard. I try.
Yeah, and that's it, because sometimes people want to play test because they want to be in on the newest thing, but they won't necessarily give you feedback that's useful. And of course, we want to get this right. It's important to get this right. So we will go through play testing. We will try and get it as honed as possible, so that it's a good system. So yeah, we're kind of hoping around 6 months we will have something to really start playtesting, maybe a bit sooner.
Right.
I want lots of playtesting so that we know that it's working and things are going okay. So we're aiming, we've got groups who are very experienced, we've got groups who know the material, we've got groups who don't know the material, to make sure, so we're getting a pure rules test as opposed to a world test, as it were.
Right.
So new players, experienced players, so we can try and make sure we're hitting all those buttons so it does the job that we want it to.
Do you find, and I guess this happened with D&D Next, like you have this great idea, and it's like, we can't pack all of this in, so we're going to hold this back. Or maybe there was something that you had that got dropped, and you love it, and it's just something you're trying to bring back. I don't know if there's any of those out there that you have some ideas, and you don't have to mention them, but how do you? I'm not asking you to mention them. Actually, I'm just like in the process of developing something. Does that happen a lot, where you have something and or maybe somebody came up with it, and you just got to cut it out and say, hey, look, we can't fit it in here, but maybe it's something that you come up later.
Yeah, I mean, no research is ever wasted research, because at some point you may find a use for it. And whatever you've looked into will hopefully at some point inform, if not this project, then the next project, or the one down the line further from that. Sometimes you think something, like you said, is going to work, and it really doesn't. So you have to sort of shelve it, and wait for it to tell you where its home is going to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes that will happen, sometimes it won't. We've all had projects that we dearly love to work on and there just isn't time, or the way that you thought it was going to work didn't work, so you just need to let it go. And that's hard when you've put work into things. And it comes with experience, knowing when to just say, no, this isn't working. Yeah. It's my pet mechanic, it's my pet thing, but for the game to be as good as we want it to be, this has to go.
Yeah.
Have you had something where you did pitch something, it got shot down, but then came back later? You ever had that happen to you at all?
Yes.
And is there some now since it's something that maybe that came back, is it something that you could maybe talk about a little bit?
Not entirely, but you do. You always have those projects that get away,
sure.
Or that the time isn't right, or it's this sort of like the zeitgeist where everybody kind of has the same idea, but somebody beats you to it.
Oh, okay.
But at least it's out there, which is lovely. That this parallel development type thing. And it's weird how often it happens. Actually, it really is. It's like some little bell goes off in various people's heads, and it's just who gets through to it first. But that's the great thing about gaming, is the fact that there are so many talented, creative people in there getting these ideas out there for people to share. And okay, you do have that moment of grrr, but then it's sort of like, get on in there and good luck to you.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes to get better, you do have to fail. That's how you learn and stuff.
You do learn way more from things going wrong and failing, which was one of the things when I was a lecturer. It was always hard to get across to the students. It's like, it's okay to fail. And you will learn way more from that experience than if everything goes smoothly and you get everything you want every single time.
Yeah.
I know Paul and I and Rebecca, wish she was here, but we've interviewed a lot of game designers. Very successful ones like yourself, and ones that have just struggling, and we've seen some projects that didn't really quite get off the ground. It happens, and we're interviewing these people, and we know in our heads, like, I don't think this is going to happen.
Close, but
but we want them to try to keep going, because we've met people that have tried to put out something and then they fail. And they just kind of go back to the drawing board. But you got to keep at it, I think.
You do. You do. And I mean, it is disheartening when things fail. And it does take a certain degree of belligerency and bloody-mindedness to come back from that. But, don't give up.
No.
Because this one might not have been right. The time might not have been right. You might not have had the right experience. But there will come a time when you do.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to a couple people, like David Gerard. He's had things where he's had this thing, it's almost done, and then it's just not working out.
Right.
And he sets it aside, and then he comes back to it later, maybe rebrands it, uses the same mechanisms, and but tweaks the things that are wrong, and it's a better time.
Yeah.
And so then it works.
Yeah. And one of the things actually that I kind of, my brain was ticking over in the background thinking about one of the projects where it was Small Things that was in the Seven Wonders anthology that Pelgrane Press put out a few years ago. The original rule system for that I thought worked great, but Pelgrane didn't. So I went back and I redesigned it, and the second system was a disaster. It really did not work at all. Because I was trying to keep the original system, but add their feedback.
Okay.
Because I liked the original system.
Yeah.
Right.
But it just was not going to work that way. And again, it's knowing when to kill your darlings and let it go, and just sit down, listen, don't take it personally. And then the game that came out of it at the end works beautifully.
Yeah.
But it was only because I had to go, no, I have to let this go.
Yeah.
Right, because at the end of the day, I mean, you are creating art, but at the same time, you have to make money. I mean, otherwise you don't have a company, right?
It's very true.
Well, that's fantastic, and I'm kind of excited that once Paul will be the keeper. So I'm really excited about it. So because it's something new for me.
You bought the box; it's in the contract now.
It's in the contract.
That's right. That's right. We even talked about maybe we should, stream this or record it. I don't know. It's really.
Oh yeah.
But
let's get a little further down the line.
Yes, we're a little scared about that. Yeah.
But it's not that big a step from doing this to streaming. You can
True.
do it.
We have to watch our language, though.
No, we don't. Well, we don't.
I mean,
Well,
you
know,
Just
to a
because
point. To a
you can-
point.
I mean, I was involved in a podcast once, and we had an 18 rating on it. So as long as you
Yeah.
you set those levels so that people aren't accidentally wandering in and hearing things that they really shouldn't hear, then that's fine.
That's true. We can do that.
You're awesome. You do this all the time.
Yeah?
You can go to streaming.
do it, yeah.
I have every faith
Isn't
in
she
you.
great?
Yeah.
She's like a coach.
I'm
you know,
getting
she's
on
great.
Twitch when I get back to my room. I'm going to open a channel.
Awesome. Well, Lynn, so is there anything outside of Chaosium you're doing, or that's all you're just kind of focusing on that?
They've kind of pretty much got me, like I said,
right.
90% of the time now. I'm still allowed out to go do my community engagement with our friendly local board games cafe and our friendly local game stores. I'm still teaching and lecturing on historical embroidery techniques.
Okay. Good. Wow. All right.
Which is a fun, different thing for me to go do.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of those coming up this year.
That's awesome.
Are you still doing the hieroglyphics?
Yes, I am still doing
That's awesome.
hieroglyphics.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
That's
And
fascinating.
I'm doing a new one in February as well. Friends of ours, there's a thing called Maya on Thames, which
Okay.
University College London do. And I think this is the 7th year they've done it. So I'm treating myself because, you can't just really have one pictogram-based language system in your life. So I am going down to do a weekend of learning all about Maya glyphs
Wow.
and translating Maya glyphs.
That's great. That's
Holy cow.
I am turning into an investigator.
Man. Well, I mean, you going back from your history, from the science that you came background. I mean, you keep learning. That's great.
Yeah, and
that's what you gotta do.
that's the joy of it, is the fact that you can learn all your life, and just you get so much from it, whether you end up using it or not.
Yeah.
Just going out and keeping your brain active and finding out interesting stuff.
Right.
It's joyous, and I really enjoy that.
I think it grows your creative side too.
It does. It really
I
does.
think it also keeps you healthier.
Yes.
Using your brain keeps you going.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And you never know where you're going to find interesting stuff that you can use.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. And so, as we close this out, where can people see you into the next year in terms of conventions and places?
All right.
Can I make a prediction? 2021 Orcacon, you're going to be.
I do hope so.
Okay, good.
You know I love you.
Yes, thank you.
you
We
too.
love you. We love you.
And this is still one of my favourite conventions
good.
in the world that I go to. I have been very lucky in the conventions that I get to go to. I got to go to a fantastic one in Helsinki last year, Orcacon,
Wow.
which was magnificent. They were awesome. This year I will be at Carcosa-Con,
Okay.
which is at Chocha Castle. And my husband Richard likes to do his College of Wizardry LARPing and bits and
Yes,
bobs.
yes.
It's the same castle he does that at.
Well, that's awesome.
And
Okay.
it's amazing. It really does look like a vampire castle.
That's great.
And it's fantastic for doing a horror Call of Cthulhu
Oh,
convention
wow,
at. So
wow.
the first one was last year. I'm a guest again there this year, and it's brilliant.
Oh,
It
that-
really is terribly
wow.
atmospheric. It's really, really good. And then we've got Kraken.
Okay.
Which is in another castle, but this time in Germany,
Nice.
which is
Okay.
fantastic. So these are very small conventions. So it's nice to get to do the small, really intimate
Yeah.
ones, then come here, and this is a fantastic size convention. And then that's kind of it for the
Okay.
moment. I'm trying not to do as many conventions
Okay.
this year as I did last year.
You travel a lot.
Yeah. you do.
Last year was ridiculous. I was home 1 month I wasn't out of the country,
Wow.
which was kind of a bit bonkers, really.
Yeah,
And
I bet.
it's great fun, but phew, I was so tired by
bet.
Christmas.
It's just driving 25 miles to Bellevue makes me
Right.
tired.
So, and how do people get a hold of you? Twitter, Facebook, all that?
Twitter's my easiest one, so that's at Cogs and Cakes.
Awesome. All right.
Cool. Thank you again.
Yeah,
for coming
thank you, Lynn.
To Bellevue, Washington, to Orcacon, and for talking to
Yes.
us.
Well,
Great.
thank you,
Love
thank
you.
you for having me. You know how much I enjoy coming and spending time with both of you.
Well, thank you very much. Take care.
And you.
It's always so great talking to Lynne Hardy.
Lynn is great.
She is my favorite. She is. She works, as you know, for Chaosium. She
Yep.
also has written like Cogs, Kicks, and Sword Sticks. So if you look her up on the Twitter,
Yeah.
that's
You were in a game
Cogs
where
and
she
Kicks.
ran it,
I
right?
did. That's how I met her.
That's awesome.
It's like my friend said, "Hey, I signed up for this game and I can't go. Do you want to go in my place? I said, yes. And it was like the second ever time I ever played a role-playing game. And it was great. Because she is so good. And it was super steampunk cool, even Seattle-based. I don't know if she invented that for the location that she was in.
Let's say yes.
I'm going to say maybe she did.
Yep.
But it was very Edison versus Tesla.
I think she really wants to live here. She just,
maybe
she's a Brit at heart. So
she's a British person. She wants to.
But you're always welcome here.
Yes,
Lynn, you are an honorary Washingtonian.
Yes, totally.
Yes.
But we are here to talk about things you can do by yourself or with limited amounts of people. Like the Call of Cthulhu starter set.
Yes.
Which is really clever because a lot of people have not played Call of Cthulhu. And the way they have designed the starter set is you start out alone. You don't even read the rule book.
Oh.
You go to book 1.
Right.
And it's like a choose your own adventure sort of thing where there's some choosing and there's some dice rolling, and then it tells you what page to turn to and what section to read, and you see what happens. I don't want to spoil anything, but I didn't make it. And it was great. I died in the best way.
Oh, good.
I absolutely loved it.
Good.
But while you're going through through the play your own adventure, you're also filling out your character sheet and learning how the character sheet works for Call of Cthulhu. Like you fill out your strengths and weaknesses and your strengths and your skills and abilities, and you put a number in there like 50 or 40 or whatever, and when you're rolling against that ability, you are trying to roll underneath that number. So you're mainly using percentage dice. Speaking of dice, you get dice. They come with the game.
Yeah, it's very typical of your set of dice that you get in most RPGs. So it's pretty cool.
It was what is it? 7 dice? It's the normal dice.
Yeah,
you get a 20, you get some percentage dice, a 6 and a 4 and all that stuff. Totally cool. And then once you've done that, you advance on to book 2, which is the rule book, and there's a one-on-one adventure. So they don't have a DM or a GM in Call of Cthulhu. You have the keeper.
Yes.
And the keeper runs the game, and in the book 2, you run that for one other person, and that one other person gets to choose from pre-gen character sheets, or you've got do your own character sheets if you want to make it up yourself. Totally cool. Which I haven't done yet. Rebecca and I are planning on doing that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You can do a game review maybe afterwards.
A game review, yes. That is our big plan. You also get for the other adventures in book 3, which is for 3 to 4 to 5 people.
Ah, it's called The Paper Chase and Other Adventures.
There's a number of adventures in here. You get like pre-printed handouts. Like, here's a letter that I found. Or, here's my journal entry from 1877 in March. It's really, really cool. It's like it's everything you need to play this game is here. They explain it really well because you're playing it while you're learning it. It's fun. It's not just reading dry text. You don't read anything. You just start playing it. Now,
Paul, as a person that just plays D&D, what was your thoughts about this game? Different from how do you find it different from D&D? And
well, it's not set in a fantasy world,
right?
It's set on Earth. It's like some of the adventures are in Harlem. I did one that was, I think, in the southeast New York State, and I think also the one-on-one adventure I'm gonna do with Rebecca is like on the eastern seaboard somewhere, but it's also in like the 1800s or 1900s, early 1900s, and it's not very fantasy-like, but there's weird things that happen, and it gets a little creepy.
Yeah, and I noticed that, like most RPGs, there are some similarities. You've got ability scores, you got hit points, you got skill checks.
Yeah.
I think it's something that it looks like it's something you can grab on right away. And you had said you'd read through it. The rule book is not that thick.
Exactly.
And you pretty much grasped it probably within about maybe a 20-minute read or something like that?
Probably 20, 30. It's a little different. It also it's fully customizable. I mean, you don't have to be a private investigator or a cop or a newspaper reporter. I decided that my character was going to be an accountant, a forensic accountant. So
Okay.
that would be fun because there's skills that lead towards that. There's a skill for credit rating.
Wow.
It's like,
Okay.
yeah. So it's like there's a bunch of different skills and strengths, and it's really interesting.
So there's different, I guess we'll call them classes, if you will?
You know,
or?
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And you basically get to choose what you want to be strong or not strong in.
Right.
And so if there's something that you're not strong in and you have to roll, you're probably not going to make that roll.
Right. And I know this is a crazy question. I already know the answer, but, a lot of people don't know Call of Cthulhu. Only one race, human.
Yeah.
Right, we're all human, right?
There's
pretty much.
I encountered in the one-on-one adventure, you encounter a thing that is like
Right.
somewhere between human and monster.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of the base of that story.
And the good news is but you got a lot of variety in the classes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And what about the flexibility of the keeper to maybe go off
Oh yeah.
the story, maybe come up with some new stuff? Is that possible?
Oh yeah, just like a GM or a DM, you can make up your own stuff as you go along. So yeah, so that's probably gonna add flavor and stuff depending on what the play, because you never know what a player's gonna do.
Oh yeah, no,
Right, they might dress like a pirate girl
Right, yeah,
and then talk to their pirate daddy all the time.
that's right. And then get in a bar fight.
Get in a bar fight twice.
That's yes.
It's like, it could easily happen. I don't know. I just made that up. That would never happen to you
No,
or me.
no, never, never.
But
Now people are wondering, what was this bar fight?
who knows?
And who was dressed up as what?
Who was the pirate girl? Who
All
was
that
the pirate
matters
daddy?
is we won.
Yes,
in
we
the
won.
end.
Yes,
We won in the end.
One of us started it, and the same one finished it.
Yes. So what? So your recommendation?
Oh, get this! It's like $20.
Okay.
Currently you can probably from your local game store get it at curbside pickup,
Yeah.
or your
Maybe.
bookstore,
Right.
depending on in what country you live and what part of if you're in the U.S. where you live.
Looks like a good kind of in-home game.
Oh, yeah.
During this Corona scare.
You don't even know what kind of scare.
I don't know. Yeah.
You don't even need to be together. You can play this over the phone.
Oh, that's
you don't
true,
need
yeah.
Roll20. You don't need Skype. You could literally just be on the phone with for the second module with one person. You're really just talking.
So conference call it.
It's a conference
Conference call game.
Yeah, we're just going to talk and we're going to play Call of Cthulhu. Super easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds fun to me.
Well, looks like we're giving it a 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Lynn, for editing this.
Yes. Well, is that it for the show?
That's
I
really
think
all we have. There's not much going on.
No,
we could
things-
go to a bar, but they're closed.
Yeah,
or
that's
the
true.
library, or a game store.
Is the library still open?
No,
I don't think
library's
so.
not open.
Yeah.
No,
Everything's shut down.
Everett finally closed. Oh, by the way, we are here in our secret den,
Yes.
underground in Everett, Washington,
That's right.
where we're very safe.
Roy, this is the place where we sometimes play D&D.
Sometimes, yes.
Yes. Well, with that, I think we're going to sign off
I think
now.
that's good.
Stay tuned when we try to do this again.
Wash your
Hopefully-
hands. Don't touch your face.
Yes, and keep social distancing
Yes.
here. And so with that, embrace the nerd, and I hope you make that saving throw.